Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us at our special edition Coach's Corner. We are live today to kick off our inaugural Heart of the Hawks fundraising campaign, starting now and continuing for 72 hours. Will you help us fuel our Hawks culture of service? Your gift of $25 an hour will help impact us and help us climb towards that $100,000 that we're trying to raise for student athlete scholarships at UND. In the 2019-2020 season, our student athletes completed 5,352 hours of community service, which ranked us number 3 in all of Division I. We are incredibly proud of our student athletes on the court, but even more proud of them off the court. That's an amazing number of hours, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But first, we're going to get some updates from a few of our head coaches. I would like to get started, and I would like to introduce our Associate Athletic Director for External Operations here at UND, Kyle Doporalski. Kyle will help us lead the charge today and moderate today's event. And we'll check in with Kyle here first. Kyle, where are you at, and what have you been up to these last couple of days?
Hi, Val. It's good to see you. Good to see everybody. I am in Kansas right now, making my way back north from Stillwater, Oklahoma, where I was at the NCAA Division I Men's and Women's National Cross Country Meet yesterday. And for those following along at home, we had our first male qualify for that championship for the first time since 1999, and the first in our Division I era. And Patrick Kipkenboy is a sophomore. He won the Summit League Individual Championship a couple of weeks back, which gave him the ticket to qualify individually for the NCAA Championships, which was yesterday. Just about this time, he was getting ready to start at the line yesterday. So I am in Kansas at my parents' house, who I have not seen in several months. So I'm excited to be here.
Oh, well, that's a lot of fun. You put out a lot of miles. I know you were in Macomb, Illinois, just a short week ago, following the cross country and the soccer team. So the commitment the athletic department has to make sure there's representation, across the board at as many events as possible in a year where all events are going at the same time is really cool. I know you've put on a lot of miles and probably listened to a lot of podcasts on the radio.
That's exactly right. No doubt about that. And it's all hands on deck right now, which is a good segue into our first speaker, our athletic director, Bill Chaves. He's in his 4th year now, leading our department at the University of North Dakota. Previously was 10 years at Eastern Washington, where he was named FCS National AD of the Year twice in the 5 years that he was eligible to win that award. Not eligible in the first 5 years. You have to be at the same institution for 5 years before you can even be considered. Bill, the first question maybe is, better what is not going on in the department right now, but we'll start you out with what is going on in the athletic department.
Kyle, Val, thanks for having me. And thank you everyone for joining us today. This is exciting for sure. You're right, Kyle. We've got 17 sports. And at one point, I think 3 weeks ago, they were all participating at the same time. And so a few of our seasons have concluded at this stage of the game. But Kyle, you're right. And Val's correct too. I think we've gone by the mentality of kind of divide and conquer right now. And so at the end of the day, we've just got a lot of good things occurring. And we want to make sure that when we have success, that we're supporting our student athletes. And so check fightinghawks.com for the latest in everything that you could be Fighting Hawks right now, because there's a lot of things going on.
We invite you to send in questions in the chat, and Val will take care of those. Bill, last one for me before we kick it over to Val. As you take a look in your crystal ball, you got a pretty good crystal ball heading into the future of college athletics. There's a court case right now in the Supreme Court for the first time since 1984, when Georgia and Oklahoma challenged for television rights. So the first time in many, many years that the Supreme Court is hearing a case surrounding college athletics. There's also name, image, likeness. You'll hear NIL, not to be confused with NLI, National Letter of Intent. There's a lot going on, not only just on the day-to-day right now of college athletics with a lot of different sports, but there's also a lot of things happening from a national perspective and a little bit behind the scenes. As you look into
Looks like we
for college athletics, specifically as it pertains to the University of North Dakota.
Yeah, no worries. I agree, Kyle. It's interesting when the highest court in the land actually takes a case relative to intercollegiate athletics. It's always is going to get your attention. And so it almost feels as if back about 50 years ago in the early 70s, that's when the university division and college division actually then split into Division 1, 2, and 3. And I would say as we're heading toward, the summer months, and I would say toward this entire year, I just think intercollegiate athletics is going to be potentially, it could look different. It might, and that's okay, actually. I think evolution's not a bad thing. Here's what I will say about the University of North Dakota. I think we're positioned well. We're in the conferences we should be, and we have regional rivals. And at the end of the day, if you were to go all the way back to why I think college athletics exists, it's really for the holistic development of the student. Start there, but regional rivalries are relevant, and no more important than probably this Saturday at 2:30 Central down in the Fargo Dome.
And we will talk with Coach Schweigert coming up. But Val, let's kick it over to you if there's any questions in the chat for Bill.
Yeah, we're using the Q&A feature today, I believe, Kyle, but very good. Yeah, if anyone has any questions out there, please use that Q&A feature. You can load them up and we'll try to get to them. I do have a few questions that came in just prior to the call. Bill, our student athletes have been fantastic this year with all the testing, the obstacles, the schedule changes, the game cancellations, and everything that they've had to endure. How were you able to keep everyone organized and focused on kind of an end goal this season?
Yeah, when we were fortunate enough at the university, our leadership with Dr. Armcost and our interim leadership prior to him getting here with Dr. Wynn and Jed Shivers being our COVID lead, it really starts at the top, Val. And at the end of the day, we really wanted to try to get it as normal as possible for our students to be able to participate. And we had on our whiteboard here the word competition for a long period of time. We wanted to do competitions, and we knew it was going to be challenging, but certainly the state has been awesome. Our local community healthcare has been awesome. Our public health has been awesome. And to be able to have testing at the Pollard Center throughout this has been just fantastic. It's given us a chance to compete. And it really starts with the student athletes wanting to do it. The coaches have been awesome. And I never thought I'd say the words testing cadence or attestation forms more times than I did this year. But those behind the curtain know what I'm talking about. But it's been challenging, but our student athletes have been awesome, and they've been up to the challenge.
Thank you, Bill. Our UND hockey team is making a run, a playoff run right now. Do you expect, if they're fortunate enough to win 2 games in Fargo, that the NCAA will allow fans this year at the Frozen Four?
Yeah, from what I'm understanding, I think the NCAA has made a decision that any championship will have no more than 25% capacity. Having said that, it is all relative to where you're playing too. So Pittsburgh, the Penguins, I believe in the last 2 weeks have just started to allow fans into their arena. So my guess, unless something weird happens, I think they'll probably be manifesting that arena at 25%.
Perfect. One of our Champions Club members has noticed that the stadium is coming down. How long will it take for that stadium to come down? When do you think new construction will start? And are there any bricks for sale? 3 parts.
Yeah, we can answer the brick question a little bit, but at the end of the day, in fact, I was learning about that last night during our hockey game. I think the brick portion is going to come down pretty quick, but it's the concrete that's going to take a little bit to try to move out. And but I think quick, how about that? Maybe in the next month or so, I think maybe you'll see it depart. All with the thought of with the thought process of a public-private partnership there. The idea is for the housing that's going to be on the upper floors of where offices would be open for the fall of 22. That's the thought process. Bricks, I know we've had a lot of conversations on that, Val, and I know necessarily that facility is near and dear and important to many families, individuals, generations. And we've got to figure out how to make those accessible and available to some degree. Obviously, we don't want to necessarily be in the brick business, especially mailing them, right? I mean, could you imagine mailing a brick? So at the end of the day, we have to be thoughtful in that regard. But I would say stay tuned. Is that fair, Val?
Yeah, I think so. And just watching the bricks come down, it's not like they're taking and cutting them out nice piece by piece to pull intact bricks out. And I think that's maybe the question we get a lot at our office at the Alumni Foundation is, how do I get my hands on one of those nice intact bricks? And Seems like that might be a little bit of a struggle, but it's really cool if you're in Grand Forks or around or heading to the hockey game tonight at the Ralph. Drive safely, but take the stadium bridge and take a peek over there. It's really neat to see it come down and just see how the bricks are structured on there. So that's cool.
And can I give a little shout out? Last week, we were fortunate to have a memorial, if you will, to Memorial Stadium. And Dr. Armacost was tremendous, and Coach Schweigert was excellent. And then some of the videos were just touching. And so if you haven't had an opportunity to see that, it's only 30 minutes in length. I would certainly go to YouTube and put in Memorial Stadium UND, and you'll see it there.
Great. That's awesome. Switching gears a little bit, we've been talking about this Heart of the Hawks fundraising initiative. We've been pre-planning for it. We've done a really nice job, and our community has done a nice job kind of jumping in with both feet. So far, we have just over $25,000 raised for our Heart of the Hawks fundraising initiative. And the event actually kicked off 14 minutes ago. So it's live. People are able to give right now. Once you give, you get a really cool little badge that says you gave and you helped fuel you're a helping hawk. And we're asking people to put that on their social media platforms just to let your whole audience know. Hopefully, once I post mine on there, I hope all of my audience in Wahpeton and Fargo and anywhere my friends are, I hope they see it. I hope they inquire. And hey, you never know who's going to make a gift and fuel that culture of service. What emphasis have you as an AD put on community service? And do you set expectations by teams per hour, or how does that work from the head of the athletic department?
Yeah, good question. And we really do appreciate the initiative. I think this has been kind of almost something that has been a kind of a COVID revelation, right? Us doing this, and we hope that we can do it annually. You know, our flight plan that we came out with a couple of years ago, you know, talks about classroom and competition, right? I mean, we get student athletes here. We want them to get their degree. We want them to be as successful as possible on whatever sport they're playing, you know, vie for championships, et cetera. But we have got 4 C's. So the other 2 C's are culture and community. And I think some of the culture we have, and this has been long ago, this is way before I came here, is there's been a culture of giving back in this community. And I applaud our head coaches and our student athlete and our student leaders who want to give back to the Grand Forks community. And I think it's important. I know they believe it's important. Expectations, that's a good question. You're going to have Tyler Burmeister on in a little bit. You know what, Val? We've gotten almost to a point where you don't even have to put an expectation on. They're going to exceed any expectation. So at this point in time, we just want to make sure it's a quality, situation. And we ask questions so that obviously it's NCAA compliant. And we want to make sure that we're doing the right things, because I know our student athletes, they have a lot, they're busy, but this is incredibly important to them. And we're so thankful that it is important to them.
Awesome. Last but not least, we all love being number 1 in Division I. We are number 3 in total hours of community service work for that 2019-2020 season in all of Division I. That's crazy. What does that mean to you to be 3rd in community service? How does that rate?
Yeah, I think, it's awesome to be able to compare yourself to others as far as what they're doing. But I do believe this. I think it's as much the quantity, but it's the quality. And I think that's the concern, is that when we're doing something, we want to leave a lasting impact. And I really think that us being able to do something surrounding our community service, I'm excited about that. And I think it's something we can do on an annual basis, because it's something to be celebrated.
Perfect. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for taking the time to visit with us. I know it's an incredibly busy week. We have home contest tonight at the Ralph with the hockey team playing for the conference championship, the tournament championship, and then Saturday, Bubba, who gets to be up next, and our football team get to head that 72-mile trip down the road. So I know it's busy, and I thank you for the leadership and for your support of the Heart of the Hawks initiative, yours and Liz's, your personal support. We really appreciate it. And so thank you so much. I'll kick it back to Kyle to introduce our next head coach.
Thanks, Val. Next up is the head coach of the 4-0 University of North Dakota football team, ranked number 2 in some polls. I saw one today, ranked number 1 in the FCS, certainly a top 3 football program at the moment. Coach Bubba Schweigert, 2016 Big Sky Conference Coach of the Year. Coach, we were chatting in the office last week when you were 3-0 before the win at Western Illinois last week about some of the outside noise. And when you're winning games and you're highly ranked, there is a lot of outside noise. Obviously, a huge game coming up on Saturday. Has it been difficult? And if so, how so? How much difficult? How difficult has it been blocking out that outside noise that is certainly there heading into this Saturday?
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. And thanks everybody for being on today. And, you know, the one thing that we've done with our team has been really upfront and address those issues when we, you know, after each week here that we're really excited to be playing this spring and, you know, to get that first Missouri Valley Conference win against Southern Illinois. And then as this built, more attention was brought to our program, and it's great for the program. You know, you love the exposure and the coverage. It helps you in so many ways, but the current team really needs to keep it in the proper perspective and know that the preparation and the focus that you put on that is what's really important. And our guys did a pretty good job of handling that. You know, that was a real concern last week. First time on the road, going to a place we had never been to, and a team that had been on the wrong side of the scoreboard the week before and had moved the ball a lot. So I felt our guys did a good job on the road and did a good job of handling that. And this week we're presented with that same challenge again with going down to play our rival. And it's really, when you look at the game, it's trying to get win number 5 in the league and number 5 for the season. And you got to focus on your preparation so you can play fast and play with great effort on Saturday.
We've had you on a few of these throughout the last several months, Coach, and we've talked about testing and all those different things that Bill talked about. And this is the first one you've been on during your season. So let's stay with the testing and the COVID standpoint with the next question. Has there been a difference that you have noticed, whether it's yourself or your staff or your team, dealing with COVID now that, and all the testing things that come with it now that you're in season?
Well, it's just part of the routine, and the testing has increased now that we're in season. So we test 3 times a week during game weeks, and we do that Sunday and Tuesday. Our guys are having to test, and they do that over at the Pollard Center. And then we do it at Starcher Hall here on Sunday and Thursday. And, you know, our one week, the PCR tests got held up because of bad weather across the country. So Friday night, we find out that we have to test Saturday morning of a game. And we were in there early. We were testing at 6 a.m. And thanks for the people that came forward and helped us do that. You know, it's just not our team that it affects, but that staff and those people that came in to help us. That was awesome. But our guys were up really early, and we just know it's part of what we have to do to play. So I thought our guys handled that situation really well. And we're just plugging away. We just want to play, and we'll do anything to play and get to competitions, as Bill alluded to earlier.
Val, is there anything in the Q&A for Coach Schweigert?
Yes, there is. There's a lot of good questions, Bubba, so buckle up here. Okay, the first one, Otis Weah is actually my son's favorite player. When we're playing football at home, Baker is now Otis every time he runs the ball, and he won't allow me to tackle him, and he bounces off everything just like Otis. So were you expecting Otis to have as much success as he has had early? And why is he so incredibly hard to tackle?
Well, the first thing, you know, you have expectations for guys, and you never know what you're going to get till you get to game time. We did see, you know, early in his career that he's pretty explosive and he's very strong, and, you know, he's 5'9" and 215 pounds. So he's really compact, but he has really good balance. That's one thing we did notice about him, and just really wanted to get him on the field. And his first year here, we were able to see him carry it just a little bit out at Northern Colorado when he scored a touchdown. And that was just getting a glimpse of him. And then as he, you know, went through fall camp this year and, you know, went through our spring camp, getting ready for the season, we felt he was really on pace to do good things for us. We were looking forward to getting him out there in the field, but, you know, he's very hard to tackle. That's what makes him, you know, effective on the field. And he really keeps the ball on track. He runs the ball where it should go and doesn't try to make something out of a play. So he hasn't lost much yardage. this year. And that's really, really fun to see because it doesn't put you in bad situations. You know, he'll keep it downhill. And sometimes I've said this a number of times, some of his best runs have been for 2 or 3 yards that have moved the chains, and he's real patient and takes the ball where it's supposed to go. So we're happy that he's on our team, and he'll keep getting better and better. And as we move through the season and as he moves through his career.
Oh, that's awesome. He's incredibly fun to watch, and kind of like Luke Skogna too. You have some really talented backs that just, when you give them the ball, it's like, look out, and the other team should know, like, you got to tackle those guys. They're so good. The last time we talked in October, you were not allowed to recruit. Has that changed at all? And how will that affect the following class? You know, you kind of have this class set. It's the next one you were worried about in October. Is there a recruiting update on like the process maybe?
Yeah, we're still in the same recruiting mode. It's still a dead period. So we can have phone conversations, Zoom calls with prospects. And we've been doing that with 2022s, and we're getting some more offers out there, but it's been a challenge because they can come to campus, come to games, but we can't have any contact with them. So we hear from guys, they're letting us know they're coming to games, and that's been awesome to have them here in Grand Forks and at the Alaris Center. A few of them have been on campus to check out academic programs, but for the most part, it's been phone calls, Zoom calls, and we're working as hard as we can on recruiting it. Really a bit different this year when we are in a spring season now. This is when now the FBS schools are really hard at recruiting, and we're in a season. So we've got to figure out how we balance this, getting ready for games and recruiting at this time. So it's really like a fall schedule that we're doing without the face-to-face contact with guys.
Sure. You are an internet sensation with your gritty after the victories. What inspired you for your signature dance move, and have you been practicing at home?
Yeah, no practice. That's pretty obvious when you see it, but I'll share how it came about. After our win over Southern Illinois, I get down the hallway, and Danny Freund had come out of the coach's box. He goes, "Coach, you got to do the gritty." And I looked at it, I'm not doing any gritty. He goes, "You got to do it. You just got to do it." So he gave me a quick little lesson on it. And I had seen our guys doing it. They mess around out in the field and do the gritty. And so we gave it a whirl. I think there's been a little improvement, not much, but it's been a lot of fun, having fun with the guys. You know, we want to, winning football games is hard, and we want to celebrate those victories. And we talked to our guys about, hey, you got about 12 hours to get over it and then move on to the next opponent. But that's been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's so awesome. I know that's the highlight of a lot of people on social media the day after the game, is getting to watch the gritty. With the Memorial Stadium going down this week, do you have a favorite stadium memory? Is there one memory that sticks out, or do you have parting words for the stadium as it's heading down?
Yeah, there's so many. It's really tough walking by it on the way to the Pollard Center and seeing it come down, you know, to and from practice. And but, you know, I think the favorite was 93 when we beat North Dakota State after the losing streak. It just was such an awesome day, and to be a part of that and to share it with fans and supporters and the community. And if you're around for that day, it was really a special day. And that's the one that, if you had to pick one, and there's a lot of them, but that's the one that sticks out in my mind.
Oh, thank you. I'll miss going up that really narrow, really steep staircase and getting to the top of it and thinking, gosh, am I that out of shape, or are these stairs just daunting? So I know you've can't even count the number of times you walked those stairs, and I know it'll be a place that you miss. Switching gears here, I just have two more quick ones for you. Talking about the Heart of the Hawks fundraising initiative, I know you have an emphasis on community service with your program. How do you make sure, or how do you coordinate 100 guys in the community service hours they do?
You know, our guys have really done a good job, and I know we assign one of our assistant coaches oversees it. And when we get requests for guys to come out, you know, we'll fulfill those requests. It's been a difficult this year with COVID, and then the season being in the spring. This usually is our big volunteer time, and we really encourage our guys to be part of the community. And our guys they've been awesome. They come up with, hey, we should go help this organization out, or they hear a professor talking about it, or somebody that they've become friends with in the community. And our guys have done a good job. We always really talk about it in, you know, during our season, that we want to be part of the community and want to give back. And I think our guys have done an excellent job of that. And the real credit goes to Tyler and his staff and communicating with us, and then to the players. They take time out of their day to help our community.
Oh, thanks, Bubba. I know this fall you didn't get to play games like you wanted to, but you were able to get out to the Greater Grand Forks youth football practices and game days on Saturday mornings out at Uland. What did that mean to those young people, those young kindergarten through sixth graders, I believe, that are out there to see UND football players helping with their teams, cheering them on from the sidelines? I know I heard a lot of positive comments from parents out there just saying it was really cool to see these kids as role models watching them play on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, it was brought about by some of our coaches. Just felt like, hey, we never get to do this because we're usually playing and not in town on the road, or when we're in town, we're getting ready with our pregame stuff. So we took that opportunity to be present and go out there amongst the kids. I know our guys had a lot of fun watching the kids play, and they really enjoyed it. And we got a lot of positive feedback, as you said, but we want to help to promote the game. You know, we're in this game because we think it's such an awesome team sport. And when those young people see the university players out there supporting them, I think that can help to promote football in Grand Forks and the Greater Grand Forks area and in our region.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bubba. This has been great. I know it's an incredibly busy week, so we won't take any more of your time. We'll let you get back to game planning. And I don't know, those fake punts and those long balls and the trick plays, the cool things. I hope we get to see something really cool this weekend, followed by a little gritty. So good luck on Saturday, and we'll all be watching and cheering you on.
All right. Thanks, Val.
Kyle, I'll flip it back to you to introduce our next head coach here at UND.
All right. Thanks, Val. Thanks, Coach Schweigert, for his time. Obviously, a huge game for his team coming up on Saturday in the Fargo Dome against North Dakota State. And we welcome in a man who just won his 116th game at the University of North Dakota. And why that is significant is because he is his sport's most winningest coach in North Dakota history, University of North Dakota history. His current team is 8-13, playing all games away from Grand Forks, coming off a 4-0 loss to number 18 Georgia on the road. I think it was just yesterday, and now going to play number 5 Florida in Gainesville tomorrow. We welcome in head softball coach Jordan Stevens from the road. Obviously, Coach, looks like you're at the ballpark. I guess let's just start with the game tomorrow night. You get Florida on the SEC network again, just like you were on the SEC network a day or two ago against Georgia. How are you feeling about the game tomorrow against the Gators?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be a tough one for us. And hello, everyone. We just got done with practice. It's 89 and very humid out here. So you see the field that we'll be on tomorrow. It's going to definitely be a challenge for us, but what a great opportunity for us to represent the University of North Dakota on a national broadcast and give our young ladies an opportunity to showcase themselves. And we're playing in a big environment. It's going to be a big crowd, and they've got the Olympic team in here today, so we're hoping maybe they stay over. But it's going to be fun. It's always fun to play the big guys.
We mentioned the 116 victories at UND for you just in 6+ seasons, and you're always one to deflect the credit onto the student athletes and others in the program. But considering the coaches that have come through this program, and there have been a lot of them that have gone on to be really successful after North Dakota, you now have won more softball games than anybody as the leader of that program at the University of North Dakota. As you reflect on that, and I know you haven't had a whole lot of time because you've been on the road for a long time yourself, and I know maybe you will in the summer, but just your early thoughts or early indications as you see that and reflect on being the winningest head coach in North Dakota softball history.
Yeah, I mean, it is truly meaningful to me because, like you said, there's been some good ones prior to that are currently doing great things elsewhere in the country. But it's been from where the program was when we came in, and just the student athletes that have gone through and the assistant coaches that have gone through, to be able to get to that mark as quickly as we have has just been a tremendous thing for them. And for me personally, it wouldn't happen without them. So, it was kind of nice. We beat a really good team to do it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And as you mentioned, done a tremendous job rebuilding that program since your arrival. Val, let's go over to you if there's anything in the Q&A for Coach Stevens on the road in Florida.
Yes, thank you, Coach, for joining us. We're excited to have you. This is fun. We haven't gotten to have a coach on our Coach's Corner yet that's come to us live from Florida. So
On
I know
location.
on location, I know Kyle's in Kansas, you are in Florida, I'm in lovely Grand Forks. This is pretty awesome. So this is a first for us. We're excited to have you.
Awesome.
Like Kyle said, congratulations on your 116th win and being the winningest head coach in UND history. Do you have a favorite win? Is there one win that stands out maybe a little bit more than others, that just something that keeps right up on the top of your mind, that's just your all-time fave?
Well, I think number one always stands out. That was in Chicago. We beat Western Illinois and in the Dome tournament my first year here. I think another one that stands out was the one that put us into the best spot ever in the Big Sky tournament and clinching the number 3 seed there and putting ourselves into a great spot to win that one. And then obviously the last one always stands out.
Oh, that's so awesome. Okay.
But there were a couple, I'll mention a couple more in there. We beat top 25, Long Beach State. That was a big one. And then anytime we beat one of the Power Fives, those are fun.
I love beating the big schools, but I like beating the really warm schools too. Like you let a team from North Dakota who gets maybe 4 months of nice weather come in and beat you. That's so exciting.
Yeah, they don't like that.
From Alabama to Georgia to Florida, how has travel been different this year due to COVID?
It's been interesting for sure. It's also been a blessing that we've been able to do this. I'm really surprised and thankful for the work that our medical staff and our admin has done to allow us to have this opportunity. But in a typical year, we wouldn't be spending 18 days on the road, and with classes online and just having to kind of be down in one area and bubbling to be able to even play. It's been different, but it's been great because, we've had 18 days together here. Our first trip was 11 days together. So we really do know each other. We've really come together as a group, and, being out here has allowed us the opportunity to work on our craft all the time as well. So it's helped us on the field too.
That's so awesome. That leads right into my next question. Have you gotten to practice outside at all in North Dakota this year with this kind of early spring? Probably not, since you've been on the road for 18. Once
we did. We got out on Memorial Turf.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I know.
So when you get back
from being the team not last year, but the 2 years that play the last home game in all of Division I on their home field to being out in February was pretty cool.
When you get back to Grand Forks, will you practice outside if the weather holds out here for us? Do you go back to Memorial Stadium? Do you go into the Pollard Center? Where do you go from here when you get back?
Well, we'll probably have to start at Memorial, and then I don't know what Apollo looks like, but if we can, we will. That's for sure.
That is awesome. When do you have your first home game for our fans? When can they catch you live at Apollo Field?
It's the second weekend of April, so I think it's the 10th, 11th. We host Western Illinois.
Awesome. Switching gears just a little bit. Well, actually, I have one more softball question. Something that I've been wondering. Do you have a favorite defensive position? Which one is most crucial to your team? So when you're recruiting and like everyone needs a good pitcher, because if you can't throw a strike, you're going to not be very good. But maybe outside of pitcher, the number one defensive position in Division I college softball, what's the position you're going after the hardest?
The number one in college softball is probably outside the pitcher. It's probably the shortstop. Catcher, vitally important as well. But you've got to have athleticism really everywhere up the middle, but shortstop, she's the flair kid. She's the one that'll bring viewers to the TV.
I love that. I was never the shortstop, and in slow pitch softball, I always had to play first base. So that's pretty cool. I don't think I was ever the first one picked for softball, but switching gears now a little bit over to the community service. We're so excited to highlight our Heart of the Hawks. What emphasis do you put on community service with your team?
Well, it's kind of evolved, 7 years now. It's evolved to something that we said, if we're going to do it, we want to be the best at it. So we're going to give our all to it, to something now that although we talk about, we don't have to talk about too much, because it's so ingrained in our young ladies to be involved in the community, and that how important it is now they name captains themselves for community service, and they take it over on their own. And we'll provide them with the opportunities when they come out. Coach Stopa handles our community service in the softball program, so any requests that come go through him. But I know our girls are very willing to do anything and everything to go out and help Grand Forks and the greater community.
Last but not least, we had the opportunity to meet with Katie Bierstad. What a phenomenal person, what a phenomenal student, a steward in her community. How has her leadership on and off the field kind of affected your team?
Yeah, so Katie's one of those young ladies who, is an infectious person. She is one that's going to get everybody motivated to do things, and kind of different in softball. Now, Katie in their 4 years hasn't seen a lot of time on the field, but she is one of the leaders of the program. And that's different in sport, where you usually got to be out on the field, but she leads from the dugout. She leads off the field better than anybody.
Oh, I just love that. She was a phenomenal person that we got to meet. We did a feature on her for Heart of the Hawk. So if anybody out there missed that, you'll be able to find that video, her 100+ hours of community service, why she serves, and how she kind of got on her service journey is really cool. So Coach Stevens, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you're in the middle of a road swing and you got a big game tomorrow, so we won't take any more of your time, but thank you and good luck.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We'll kick it back over to Kyle to introduce our next guest.
All right, thanks, Val. A couple of those 116 wins that Coach Stevens talked about, a couple over Michigan State in one weekend. He mentioned the win over Long Beach State, who was number 25 in the country to open last season. They've beaten Rutgers and a few other Power 5 teams as well. So he's done a great job with that program. Up next, in his 4th year at the University of North Dakota as UND's Director of Student Athlete Development, we welcome Tyler Burmeister into the program. And Tyler, for those of us that work in the program or in the department, we know exactly what your role is and what your function is from a day-to-day standpoint. But for those on the outside, maybe not exactly familiar with what your role is, maybe explain that a little bit before we get into the community service.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Kyle, and thank you for having me on today. So student athlete development is actually one of those rarities that is kind of still a growing field across college athletics. So my main responsibilities within the athletic department are to help out our student athletes with their personal, professional, and leadership development. So we do a number of initiatives across the board to really add to the student athlete experience for all of our student athletes, with their helping them with their successful transition into college and giving them those benchmarks all the way up until graduation and getting them ready to blossom as alumni once they leave us here. So, and obviously the big talking point of today's call is community service, which again is one of those areas of focus that I oversee within our athletic department. So it's really rewarding to be able to work with such a great group of student athletes on a daily basis and see the impact that they make within our community and our athletic department.
Let's talk about the community service, dig in on that a little bit more. There's an app called Helper, which you are instrumental in bringing to our department, and you can explain that a little bit. But on the day-to-day, how much time, Tyler, do you spend on community service with all of our 300+ student athletes here and getting that organized and lined up, and what time and where to go and what day? How much time do you spend on that with our department?
It's a fair amount of time for sure. And I think that really just obviously goes back to our discussions on that. This is a culture of service that has already been implemented long before I arrived here on campus. So it's very rewarding that a lot of the initiatives that we take place in are student athlete driven. So we rely heavily on our student athlete advisory committee to really figure out the specifics of what are those initiatives or organizations that we want to work with. So it's a daily grind as far as trying to organize, plan, schedule, and then obviously get the follow through and get out into the community. So we actually have a number of initiatives right now. This has been a unique year. And obviously last year, towards the tail end, we had COVID happen. So we've had to navigate a lot of different waters this year as far as making sure that we're being safe and compliant with our student athletes. But next week, especially with all the snow melting, we're going to be doing a number of campus cleanups already. So the grind never stops from a service standpoint. But again, I'm trying to match the energy of our student athletes with them wanting to get out into the community. So we definitely pay a very close attention in making sure that we try to give them as many opportunities as possible. I think the quantity part obviously speaks for itself, but to echo what Bill Chaves said as well, it's all about the quality service opportunities that we get here. So we really want to ensure that we are giving our student athletes really great opportunities to serve, get out into the community, and really obviously showcase themselves as leaders.
Hal, over to you.
Yes, Tyler, thanks so much for joining us. We had our first, we had someone join from Florida, and now we get to have someone who's not in a specific coaching role, but more of a leadership role in the athletic department. So we're really excited to have you. We've talked a lot about Helper Helper. That's the app that we use to track the hours. Because I was going to ask, how do you keep track of 5,352 hours? Like, that is so many hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of hours, but again, Helper Helper has been instrumental from the get-go. So the crew over there, Krista and Chelsea, they are tremendous or tremendous group and to work with. They've been, the platform that they have really allows us to simplify the process of creating those opportunities and broadcasting them out to our student athletes. So it's an app-based program where all they have to do is log into their phone to see the opportunities that are there for us. So a lot of them are already implemented into our system. So all it turns into is just creating the event. And then the tracking part is the simple part for me. It's the platform does it for ourselves. So we're always well aware of not only the service hours that our teams are doing, but we can see the economic impact also that our student athletes are making within the community and seeing that overall impact score as well. So the fun thing is it does create a ranking system. So we can get a little competitive edge there with our teams as well. So it's a wonderful platform to work with. And it's great to work with individuals like Krista and Chelsea over in Helper Helper, who obviously continuously give us new updates in the platform to really give, again, another great student athlete experience platform for our students.
You talked about the economic impact, and I think that's kind of what that and this culture of service is kind of what drove our Heart of the Hawks initiative. So Helper Helper can kind of tabulate a amount of economic impact that the hours that the student athletes do. You want to talk a little bit more about that and that number of economic impact?
Yeah, I mean, again, they have the research with the components that they've looked at, and they were the ones that determined that 1 hour of community service equates to about $25 of economic impact. So obviously, when we get 5,352 hours, that's going to equate for quite a bit of economic impact. And I know with COVID last year, we traditionally are in the 7,000 hour range for our student athletes, and I had to look it up because I was interested. So ever since we implemented the Helper Helper app, we've actually had 14,000 hours of community service, which equates to about $381,000 of economic impact for the community. So it's great to see the economic impact part, but again, the big focus has always been on the quality of our service hours. But we have great coaching staffs, great student athletes that, again, want to really dig their teeth into the specific organizations that we want to fulfill. And it's really rewarding to obviously see the quantity part and the economic impact part. But again, I think that the quality of the service projects is always going to be at the forefront with our student athletes and coaches.
Talking about the types of community service. So we know the number of hours and we know the economic impact and we know our student athletes are out there doing it, but like, what kind of community service are they doing?
Yep, and this is the facilitator and me about to come out. So I wouldn't be, I'm definitely a visual aid person. So I had to put together kind of a little slide deck here to really highlight some of those initiatives. So I'm going to share my screen for everybody so you can see some of the specifics. So we do a number of initiatives with our Grand Forks Public School District in East Grand Forks. So one of my favorites is always when our student athletes get the opportunity to go out and read in the community. And unfortunately, again, with COVID this year, we weren't able to physically get into the classrooms, but we were able to record some of our student athletes reading some books this year. But again, we're really looking forward to getting back into the classrooms and having our student athletes read. It's always fun to see the kids just gravitate towards our student athletes, and you get some really fun questions from the kids as well for those little Q&A sessions as well. So that's always been a very fun one for us. This is by far one of my favorite stories from last year within the community service realm. So we were able to go to one of our local elementary schools, and we had, this is Shane Pinto from our hockey program. So they did a digital book reading and they gave him his own square to sit on for this. So this was actually one of our fun little cute photos that we were able to take with Shane Pinto there. But the other fun one, so Judd Caulfield, who is obviously a Grand Forks native, he was reading a book and got the question, what is it like to score a goal at Ralph Engelstad Arena? At this point in his career, he had not yet scored a goal, so it was a little awkward for him. But 2 days later at Western Michigan, he actually put up 2 goals. So that might have been a little bit of a motivating factor for him. So another fun story with being able to go out and read into the communities. Special Olympics of North Dakota has always been a very, very near and dear organization with our student athletes. Our actual Student Athlete Advisory Committee was actually nominated last year as an Organization of the Year candidate. So again, we take really great pride in working with our Special Olympics partnership. And a number of initiatives, we are able to help out with the state soccer and bocce tournament each year. Obviously, this year was put on hold due to COVID, but we really, really enjoy our time with our Special Olympians. And this year with COVID, we've been able to work with the Special Olympics College on campus to host monthly Zoom calls. So again, we just because we're in unprecedented times, we still find the time to make sure that we work with our organizations out there. This year, especially with the uncertainty in the economic sphere, we worked very exclusively with Great Plains Food Bank and did a number of food drives this year. So that was another fun initiative where we were able to really make a big impact and get meals to individuals that are less fortunate and obviously dealing with the economic impact of the COVID pandemic. Another event that is always very popular with our student athletes is our annual Halloween Bash, which again, put on hold this year, but we were very much hoping and looking forward to being able to host that event, being able to see all the kids with their trick-or-treating Halloween costumes. It's always a very fun event for not only the kids and families that come to this event, but we get a lot of enjoyment. This is one of our more popular ones with our student athletes where they get to dress up and have a great time with all the visitors of that event. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing a number of campus cleanups, and we've been really focused on this environmental piece of our campus and really keeping our campus green as possible. So we'll do a number of those next week. And obviously that's more of a safe, compliant, COVID safe event that we can do within keeping our teams in their pods and being able to obviously clean up the trash around campus. And then we help out with a number of PTO events around the community as well. So we'll help out with a number of the schools out there. So again, we get a number of external requests that we're always willing to try to fulfill as long as it fits within our compliance and our time demands, because it's crazy to think that the time demands of our student athletes with them doing their practice and competition schedules, but also trying to balance a full academic course load, they still, no matter what, will take the time to go out into the community and make this big difference. So it's so rewarding to see. But I mean, we sink our teeth into as much as possible, but it's all about the quality of those projects. And we look forward to continuing to see what we can accomplish moving forward. And I'm looking forward to going back to our normalcy where we can really make that big impact like we have in the past.
Thank you, Tyler. That was great. I loved all the pictures. It brought me back. I remember being a student athlete and getting to go and read in the classrooms and work with Special Olympic athletes. And it's a fun time to bond with teammates. You know, you're bonding over something that's much larger than you, and you're able to give back to the community that supports you. And so community service is near and dear to my heart. And I just think it's awesome. And I thank you for all the work that you do to make those community service opportunities so easy for student athletes to get involved in. So Tyler, thank you so much. You answered all the questions I had with your PowerPoint and some of the service opportunities. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Kyle, I'll kick it back to you to introduce another one of our special guests today.
All right, that's Tyler Burmeister, Director of Student Athlete Development with UND Athletics. And here to bring us home is a man who needs no introduction, but for those who aren't familiar with the story, part of the UND football program, Hunter Pinky had a skiing injury between Christmas and New Year's a little over a year ago and still involved with the football program. Hunter, let's start. First things first, how are you feeling?
Thanks for having me on, Kyle. I'm feeling great, feeling really good. I'm quite busy. This is a busy spring schedule, but I tell people I'd rather be busy than bored, and I'm definitely not bored right now. So I'm feeling great.
Well, one thing to be feeling great is the football program, obviously a captain of this group. What is your involvement in terms of being a captain on this 4-0 football team right now?
Well, I told Coach Freund at the beginning of the season, it was going to be pretty hard to get me in the end zone this year. And so I definitely took on a new role. I wasn't going to be catching any touchdowns, but I can do a lot still for this team. I definitely help in the leadership aspect. You can lead without stepping foot on the field. And so I'm helping lead this team. I'm doing a lot of film breakdown, getting the guys ready and prepared for what they'll be seeing on Saturday.
All right, Val, over to you if there's anything in the Q&A for Hunter.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch for Hunter. I'll try to keep it short, but as everybody knows, Hunter is one of my all-time favorites. He was, we had the opportunity to have him in the Champions Club over at the Alumni Foundation as a student intern last semester. So I've really enjoyed getting to know Hunter as a person. Just outside of being a student athlete, he's a phenomenal man and just a joy to be around. So Hunter, thanks for joining us. First, we'll start talking about your hair. Are you going to get a haircut or is this for good luck? I think the fans are wondering, so we'll just address it right away.
Yeah, no, the hair has kind of become a favorite. How this all started was I promised Brett Finke, our fullback, that by the time we were done at UND, I was going to get a mullet with him. He's had a mullet since freshman year. And so really, I'm growing it out so that I can cut it into my mullet. My mom probably very happy to hear that. But right now we're winning, so I can't cut it into a mullet. So if we just keep winning, the mullet might have to wait. I'm a pretty superstitious guy, so I'm going to let the hair go as long as I can.
That's so awesome. I had to address it because I know everyone's wondering. You get to wear a headset at the games. We've watched you on the sidelines. You've got the headset on. Does Coach Freund let you call any plays, maybe throwing it to the tight ends a little bit more? Or are you just listening and just staying in the game that way?
No, I got to know my place. Coach Freund, he's way better at his job than I am. So yeah, I let him call all the plays. I just I stay into it with the headset, and yeah, no, that's way above my pay grade.
What does this week in football mean to you? With the stadium coming down and the NDSU game on Saturday, I know that you've been around this athletic department for years, since you were just a toddler with your mom being a part of the athletic department. What does it mean to you this week to be part of the UND football family?
This is a big week. This is, as a North Dakota kid who grew up in this state, this is the game that you dream about playing in. And I remember last year, 2019, we were at an event at the Ralph, a panel discussion. And Kyle, I think you asked me what's one of your favorite memories at UND, and I said, well, I think 2016 winning the conference championship was up there. And I said, I think my best memory is yet to come when we beat the Bison. And so this is that week, and our guys are locked in. I can tell you. There's a focus about this team that I don't know if we've had in years past on just wanting more and not being satisfied with 4-0. We really just want more. And so for me, a North Dakota kid, this game this is our Super Bowl. This is, for an Alabama kid, this is Alabama versus Auburn. This is the biggest game in our state. And so it means a lot. It's, Coach Schweigert, he'll tell you, it's, we prepare like every other game. But deep down, we know that this one means a little bit more to not only us as players, but our fan base.
That's so awesome. We're all excited for the game on Saturday. And I think you guys are probably excited that it's indoors. You won't have to forget the sunscreen. I've seen a lot of red faces come back from yourself and some of our athletic department from that trip to Macomb. So switching gears just a little bit to the community service side. Of course, we're all here this week in this special Heart of the Hawks fundraising initiative. I've got a lot of community service questions for you, but the one I'll start with was community service part of your upbringing? Just prior to coming to UND, what did community service mean to you?
Yeah, serving in the community was always a part of my life. Growing up in a small town, it's kind of you and, your community. You kind of have to help each other out to make things work. For things to happen, you have to participate. And so growing up in a small town in North Dakota, I grew up with that aspect of, you have to help out. You have to serve at the Lions dinner, or else there's not going to be a Lions dinner. And so, yeah, that was always part of my upbringing. And then I think part of my faith too, the aspect of just serving. And that was instilled in me at a young age.
Yeah, we're so proud of you. In the 2019-2020 season, Hunter, I don't know if many people know this, but prior to your injury, you at the end of the year, you were second on the team in community service hours, and you only got to work do service for 4 months out of the year, essentially, because we know, after Christmas, you were in Denver for a while out at Craig. And then when you finally returned, it was just a whole new way of life for you. So we're just so incredibly proud of your commitment to service. What opportunities have you experienced while your time at UND? Do you have a favorite community service hour? And how the heck did you get so many community service hours during the fall, during football season?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of the thinking that, where there is time, you got to find it. And so I just found time, little, segments here and there. Probably my two favorite serving opportunities. The football program is very involved with Holiday Magic from Marcus. So in the holiday season, our football program helps shop, wrap, and then distribute gifts to kids that are struggling with health conditions. And so I've been involved with that and helped lead that for, I believe, the past 3 years now, but I've been involved every year, and our football program is really involved with that. And so that's probably one of my favorites, just because you get to see the kids and, whatever they're going through, the struggle that they're going through for 1 hour, for 2 hours, they can just forget about it and be a kid again. And so that has been really impactful, not only on these kids, but for us as players. And then Tyler was showing some of those pictures of, reading to the kids. I had a ton of fun doing this. So my school was West Elementary, and I would go in there weekly. And so you get to know these kids, and it becomes pretty fun. I mean, it's really not, they call it community service, but holy cow, I had more fun than they were. And so you get to form these relationships with these kids and become a mentor. And I remember looking up to athletes when I was in elementary school. I remember thinking, oh man, Digger Anderson, holy cow, that guy's huge. And so for me to be in that position, I was pretty humbled, and it was really a blessing. Still is a blessing.
Oh, last but not least, we're here, of course, for a special edition Coach's Corner to talk about Heart of the Hawks. We've got some really good updates from you, Coach Schweigert, Coach Stevens, and Bill, along with Tyler. What would you say to someone on the fence about supporting the Heart of the Hawks? Again, we're just asking, we want to get each hour of community service sponsored at $25 an hour to help make over 100,000 of economic impact for the athletic department to help with student athlete scholarships. So if you had a message for someone that was on the fence about giving that hard-earned $25, what would your message be?
Yeah, Val, that's a good question. When Coach Schweigert brought me into the football program, and he brings every recruit that comes through our program, he talks about, first off, being a good person, second off, being a good student, and then lastly, being a good athlete. And that first part of being a good person, that's where your community aspect comes into play. And I think it's just important to know for our donors that we as student athletes take giving back to our community very, very seriously. I know, Val, this fall, when we were writing thank yous, some of these thank yous that got written out to our donors, you really get to see the heart of the student athlete and what it means to be here at the University of North Dakota. Coach Schweigert talks about it all the time. We want guys that want to be here at UND, that want to be in Grand Forks. And I think across our entire athletic department, we have people that want to be invested in this community. And it's pretty evident when you look at the numbers and you see these people that are serving and these athletes. We want to do this, and we love this university. We love this community, and your support allows that to happen. And so I just want to encourage the donors that are on here today or watching in future weeks, that just know that your support, it means so much to us, and we are so grateful that we want to give back to this community. And so this $25, it is very much appreciated, and we're going to do our best to make you all proud.
Thank you so much, Hunter. I know it's a busy week. I know you're an engineering student with a crazy course load and lots of stuff going on in life. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your leadership on the football team this year. I know it isn't the season that you wanted to have for your last year here at UND, but man, have you made the most out of it. Just watching your dedication, your commitment, and again, your leadership to this team. I know that we are 4-0 because you are a part of this team. So thank you, Hunter, for being here. We love you. Kyle, thank you so much for helping us MC this event from Kansas after being on the road. We can always count on Kyle to help us out and step in and make sure he just nails all the intros. And then for everybody out there joining us, thank you so much. Like Hunter said, UND is a special place, and it's special because of people like you. Today, we have the opportunity to give to fuel that culture of service by giving back at that $25 an hour. Our goal is to get all 5,352 hours matched with that $25 gift. So if you can find it in your heart for the Hawks to give that $25, we'd really appreciate it. We won't be able to reach our goal without all of you. So on behalf of myself, our entire team at the Alumni Foundation that have spearheaded this Heart of the Hawks fundraising initiative, we really appreciate you. Have a great day and go Hawks.